to Small Town Bringdown. I'm Brandon Grader.
I'm Elliot Drew.
Thanks for tuning in to the number one podcast amongst people who would like to thank the Academy. We always record on Sunday nights, or we try to record on Sunday nights. And all of the award shows generally happen on Sunday nights.
Yes, they do.
So we never actually really get to watch the shows,
No.
the award shows, because we record
While they're happening.
long while they're happening. So, like, I haven't watched the Grammy Awards live in years. I haven't watched, what else is there? Like, the People's Choice Awards. I haven't watched those. I haven't watched the Golden Globes. I haven't watched the Oscars. The Oscars this year, I don't know, maybe have they been doing this for a while? Do they always start this early?
I don't
I
know.
always thought they have started later.
But they started at 5 today.
Yeah,
so
5 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah.
I mean, they're in Hollywood, so it makes sense that maybe that's what it is. They're trying to get that 8 o'clock start time on the East Coast
Maybe.
For the viewers. So
Well, and it's nice for the East Coast viewers to be able to go to bed before, like, 2 a.m.
2 a.m., yeah. Fuck, man. We want to know who won Best Picture, but come on. We're goddamn tired. Well, that makes sense because, like, when you have, like, the NHL, we have Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah.
And then there's the Toronto Maple Leafs, which are the much more
Celebrated. Let's just say
yeah,
it.
Sure.
They're the more celebrated
Yeah.
team. They haven't won shit in forever, but they're
They're more
celebrated.
well known, yeah. They're actually the most valuable franchise, I think, in hockey.
Yeah.
Or maybe, like, there may even be, like, top 3 of all time sports.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
massive. Anyways.
It's sporting.
Yeah.
Like, how much do I
Yeah.
know about sports?
Exactly. So, anyways, when Toronto comes out here to play in Vancouver, we have this thing in Canada for our non-Canadian listeners. We have this thing on our mothership flagship radio, television channel, which is a government-controlled or government-funded, not government-controlled, but government-funded television channel called the CBC. Every Saturday night, we have this thing called Hockey Night in Canada. And it's been going on for way fucking longer than we've been alive. And it'll still keep going.
Since the dawn of time.
Yeah. So they
know
have this thing, and every night they have, well, most nights they have just 2 games, one that starts at 4 o'clock and then one that starts at 7 o'clock. But and it's usually an East Coast team first because they're starting at 7 o'clock their local time. So we watch it at 4, and then there's a West Coast team that starts at 7, our local time at 7, but for them it's 10 o'clock at night for them. So, but when Toronto, it never happens for Montreal or Boston or any of those other East Coast teams. It only happens for Toronto.
Yeah.
If Toronto's playing Vancouver and it's in Vancouver, then we have to watch our Canucks game at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yes.
And not only do we have to watch it at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the game gets played at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because they're like, well, we have to appease the fucking Toronto fans on the East Coast.
Because they're the most important fans.
Exactly. So, but anyways, back to the Oscars. So the Oscars, we never get to watch them live. Now, I have not watched this year's Oscars yet.
Yes.
The 2018 Oscars.
No.
You have watched this year's
I did,
Oscars.
because right now we say it's Sunday, but it's not going to be Sunday for much longer.
Yeah. We got about 40 minutes, and then it's Monday.
It's going to be Monday.
Because you got here you were late because you were actually at an Oscar viewing party.
We were.
Which I've never been to one of those before.
Oh.
I've heard they happen.
Yeah.
It seemed to me this year, like I was on Twitter and Facebook earlier, and it seemed to me this year there was an overabundance of people watching the Oscars. There's always been people, because of course I work in film, or I try to anyways. There's always people that I follow on Twitter and stuff who are like, oh yeah, Oscars, blah, blah, blah. But then there was always a greater portion of people who were like, no, I don't give a shit or whatever. But now, this year, there seem to be way more people going to be watching.
Well, I think this year, and I'll say this right off the bat, the political climate of the world, and especially of Hollywood, dictated to everybody
Yeah.
that this was a year to watch the Oscars.
Sorry, I just had to raise the volume up there.
There were changes this year.
Yes.
Very much so. Like, there were people like, things that if I was watching, like we talked about, like there was a huge thing at the Golden Globes with the Me Too, and everybody wore black for the Me Too.
Yeah.
And then they were like, well, will this happen at the Oscars? And so there was a lot of buzz about, I think, people were looking to this award show because it is the biggest.
Yes. It's the one that's watched by the most people around the whole world.
There's Golden Globes, there's SAGs, there's all these other kind of things. There's the British ones, there's the surfboard ones. I don't whatever the teen choice or whatever. But the Oscars is the culminative event. It is the quintessential event. It really, and it's the 90th year of Oscar.
Well, the thing about it, like, I think what it is with the Oscars is everything leads up to the Oscars. Like, after the Oscars, what other, like, you have the Teen Choice Awards, I think, comes after.
Yeah, and that's MTV.
But like, we've already had the Golden Globes. We've already had the People's Choice. We've already had the SAG Awards. We've already had this. We've already, there's all this stuff. And then it's all leading up to, it's always a matter of, like, they use the other award shows as sort of a barometer of what's going to happen at the Oscars. They're like, oh, Sam Rockwell won at the Golden Globes, so he's probably going to win the Oscar. And then he doesn't win, and then fucking everybody's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then, they're like, oh, well, fucking, I don't know, Peter Jackson should win Best Director at the SAG Award. Or no, that's the Actors Award, so that wouldn't work. At the Golden Globes, so we use the Golden Globes again because I can't think of another one. Won Best Director at the Golden Globes, so he's and then he doesn't win, or he does win, and everybody's like, yeah, see, Golden Globes got it right.
Yeah.
So,
but it really is. The Oscars are kind of the pinnacle.
Yeah, the ultimate.
They are the thing that it's the culmination of of the award season, and so I think there was a lot of, and of course after last year's weirdness about
the fiasco at the end,
you won Best Picture, no, you won Best Picture thing. There was a lot of attention on the Oscars this year.
Yeah. Well, and like you said, the 90th one.
It's the 90th
It's a bigger thing.
But I think even more than that, I think after all the political discussion that's gone around, and I don't want to say political discussion because I don't necessarily think it's just political. I think we talk about the Harvey Weinsteins of the world, and there's been a lot of focus on Hollywood as an institution that needs change.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are looking to the Oscars to dictate that change.
Yeah.
They're like, we need fucking change.
Yeah.
There's, and I'm gonna throw the spoiler because I really think it was one of the most.
Son of a bitch.
It's not a winner, but there's a moment tonight. What's his face from the Late Show is hosting.
Oh, Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel is hosting, and he made a joke about. He was talking about Wonder Woman.
Okay.
And Black Panther.
Yeah.
And he's like, I remember a time in Hollywood when, nobody thought that a woman-led superhero movie could work, or an African American based superhero could work.
Yeah.
And I remember that because it was 2017.
Yeah. It was just last year.
Right.
Yeah.
And he said that, but it was a joke, but at the same time, it was a joke that had power.
Yeah.
Because one of the biggest movies of this year is Black Panther.
Yeah.
It's going to be one of the biggest movies of this year. 2017 was the year of Wonder Woman. She was the biggest film of last year.
Yeah.
And deservedly so.
Well, and look, not only like superhero movies, but look at Get Out. Get Out, I have not seen Get Out, but it was a movie that was made for very little money. I think like $15 million or something, or $30 million.
Yeah.
And it's gone on to make over $300 million.
Yep.
Now. So, and what's his name? Jordan Peele was actually nominated for Best Director. And Get Out was nominated for Best Film. And as far as I know, from what I've read about it, is Get Out is actually like a thriller / horror movie. Have
It
you
is.
seen it?
And based on race.
Yeah. Have you seen Get Out?
I have not seen it
No,
yet.
I haven't either. I want to.
I actually
I don't go to. It didn't come to our theater here, and I don't go out of town. So
well, and this is the other thing. Like, I was kind of pissed off because I was trying to, gather some Oscar knowledge by watching these films, and The Shape of Water,
yeah,
which was like a runaway, like billions of nominations, just came out on DVD like last week,
yeah.
and I'm like,
Ebbing, three billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, just came out on DVD like
a couple weeks
Actually,
ago.
I think it comes out on tomorrow or Tuesday. It comes out, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's,
So there was only so much opportunity to watch these movies unless you were illegally downloading them.
yeah, which I don't do.
Which I don't do either. So there was only so much opportunity to see them. I'm going to see them.
Yeah,
I sat with people who were like, yeah, I saw that movie and that was great. And I was like, well, I couldn't see a lot of them, so I just saw none of them. Like, I actually kind of went out of my way to not watch Oscar-nominated movies this year.
I haven't seen a single one either. I don't think.
With the exception of some of the, like Last Jedi was nominated for a bunch of awards because it was like
effects awards,
effects
and
awards.
sound and shit.
Blade Runner 2049 was had a bunch of like these are movies that like you couldn't stop me from watching them.
Yeah.
Like I watched them in theaters.
I haven't seen any of them
Like when they
either.
opened, I wanted to see those. So there were a few of them, but for a lot of them, they're like, I want to see that movie, but not. I just haven't had the opportunity.
Well,
yet.
and the thing about like I said, we live in a small enough town that a lot of those kind of movies just don't come here. Like we get the big action movies, the big Marvel movies, and Batman versus Superman, all that kind of. We get that stuff, but we don't get. We're not gonna. The theater and the movie theater in our town is never gonna play The Shape of Water.
No.
It's never gonna play Three Billboards. It's never gonna play something like Mudbound, which apparently was. I don't think that got nominated, but
it has a bunch of. It had a bunch of nominations. Mary
Okay.
J. Blige got.
Okay, so there you go.
Yeah.
But I think that was actually a Netflix movie, anyways. But it's it's never going to play those kind of movies because they don't make enough money in this town.
Yeah.
For the theater to be able to do that. So.
I've now seen, and so I know who all the winners are, and so it's kind of like I'm like, don't give shit
no,
away.
you
to
can't tell
I
me.
don't want to
I
give
do
shit
know.
away.
I do know one, which I think happened, which I only found out because I made the mistake of going on Twitter.
Damn it! You
And
shouldn't have done that.
I know, and my brother had tweeted it. So I think Best Supporting Actress. Did Allison Janney win that one?
Yes, she did.
Yeah. So that I'd like to know because Allison Janney or Janney, I think it is, was
C.J. Craig.
C.J. Craig on The West Wing. And that's how I knew because my brother was like, "Way to C.J. for the win," is what he tweeted. And at first I was like, "C.J., what movie is that? What is that?" And then I was going through and I was like, "What the fuck?" Because I didn't actually even know what movie, all of the movies that were nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
So I was like, CJ. And I'm like, criminal justice? Like I was just racking my brain. And then I was finally like, okay, blah, blah. And I figured it out. But I was, so I do know that she won.
Yes, and she did for her performance as the mom in Tanya or Tanya. Tanya
Oh,
Hart.
she plays the mom?
Yeah.
I thought she was in Lady Bird.
No, that's Laurie Metcalf. You're thinking.
Who's Laurie Metcalf?
From
she's
Roseanne.
from Roseanne. Yeah. Okay. And doesn't she play somebody's mom on something now?
Sheldon's mom on Big Bang Theory.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
But-
That's where I've seen her.
Like I'm like, she'll always be the sister on Roseanne to me.
Yeah. Are you
Like-
going to watch Roseanne when it comes back?
Yes.
Because it's in I think a month or something.
Yeah, of course I am. I watched Will and Grace when it came back.
I wasn't a fan of Will and Grace when it was originally out. Like some of the moments were funny. I thought that guy Jack was funny. And
I didn't watch
not
it all
Grace,
the way.
but the other woman.
I didn't watch it all the way through. I wasn't like a dedicated watcher, but I watched the first few seasons of it sporadically. and more than sporadically. I was pretty dedicated in the first few seasons, and then I kind of fell off as it continued. But the first few seasons were brilliant. So when it came back, I'm like, I've got to watch it. And I watched the first, I watched the first 3 or 4 episodes, and I was like, this is what it was.
It's Will and Grace.
It really was. I was like, we're right back where we were. Like, it didn't change for me. It was still fun.
Yeah.
Like, there was not, like...
Did they advance their timelines?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so, like, they accounted for the last 8 years or 10 years,
there's
whatever
like,
it's been?
stuff has happened.
Okay.
But it's the same show. It was the same show we loved when it went off the air. Like, because I really do feel like there are certain shows that they disappear and nobody cares.
Yeah.
Scrubs.
Yeah.
Right? When Scrubs first came out, it was a brilliant show.
Oh, fantastic, yeah.
It was a brilliant show for many seasons. And then it just kind of went away.
Yeah.
And I didn't know where it went away to. But then I got years later, I was like, oh, I'm going to Netflix that shit.
Yeah.
On a bin. And then I found out there was 3 more seasons than I thought there had been.
Yeah.
I'm like, didn't this get canceled after that? No, there's more. There's more. And then I'm like, you know what? It's a good thing that I didn't know that. But I watched them, but I shouldn't have.
It's like...
because it totally colored my
what's that other
show?
That 70s show. Mm-hmm. Apparently that had 3 seasons or 2 seasons after I stopped watching it. I was okay.
I thought this was canceled, and there's more.
Yeah. Speaking of, you just said, what was the TV show you were just talking about? Scrubs. The director of that, or the star of that, Zach Braff, has a new TV show coming out.
Oh.
And it's relevant, and the reason I'm bringing it up when you mentioned his previous show is that he, in the business, or in this new TV show, is called Alex Inc., as in Incorporated. And in this show, he quits his job. He's married, and he's got a couple kids, and he quits his job to start a podcast business.
Oh, that'll be interesting. I'm going to watch that shit.
Yeah, exactly. So I saw a commercial for it the other day. I was like, what the fuck? That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I was going to check it out, and it's called Alex Inc. I don't know when it's on. It's like a 30-minute, a half-hour comedy. It's got, I can't remember. It's got Rosie Perez.
Yep.
In it? No, that's in a different show. There's a new show coming out. You remember How I Met Your Mother?
Well, yeah, it's not that long ago.
Yeah, well, the guy, Ted, that was in that show has a new show coming out as well. That's about musicians or drama. He's a drama teacher at a high school, and he's doing a performance or casting the play for the year or whatever.
Yeah.
And he casts unconventional, the main character he casts is the football head, somebody on the football team.
Sure.
Yeah. So, anyways,
it's Glee with drama.
Basically, yeah. So that's the show that has Rosie Perez in it. You remember Rosie Perez?
I sure do.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
So this one has the guy from he played one of the guys on The Sopranos. He's the younger guy with dark hair. I want to say his name was Chris. Did you watch The Sopranos? Anyways, doesn't matter. If you see it, you'll be like, oh, yeah, that guy. He's been in tons of stuff. Yeah. A lot of mob stuff type thing, but you'll be like, oh, yeah, I know who that guy is.
And now he's on the podcast show.
Yeah, so I thought it was kind of cool. I thought I'd mention it since, I didn't remember until you mentioned Scrubs, but I was like, oh, fuck, yeah, that just popped into my head.
Zach Braff's doing a podcast show.
Yeah, so Alex Inc., check it out. I think it'll be kind of cool to do it. So
and Zach, if you're looking for podcast help, just maybe you listen to podcasts and maybe
you would think he would have to have listened to them to at least understand what they're
He'd
about.
be like, I need one that's been on for a really long time that doesn't have a lot of success. This small town breakdown thing's been here for forever, and there's no listeners.
I ran into somebody the other night. I was doing a job filming for somebody. And I ran into a few people that I knew, and one of the guys was like, so what have you been up to, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, not much. And your name came up because you know him as well. And I was like, I mentioned, oh, well, I see him on Sunday, and he's like, I see him every Sunday, and he's like, oh, what do you guys do? And he's like, I'm like, well, we do our podcast on Sunday nights, and he's like, really? You guys are still doing that? And I was like, yeah, we've been almost 7 years now. And he's like, get the fuck out of here. Really? He's like, that's amazing. And he said, I don't know hardly any podcasts. And I said, well, there are ones that have been out there longer than we have. We're not the longest running podcast ever. But he was very impressed by the fact that we were still going for all these years.
Maybe he could tell other people to fucking tune in.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to some episodes.
But he did say he was going to. He was like, oh, I'll have to check it out again. He said, I did listen to you guys years ago, but he said, maybe I'll have to check it out.
But it fell off because, like, I can't keep up. Because holy shit, 7 years?
Every week, you fucking dicks talk about shit. Like, it's okay to take a break once in a while.
Yeah. Like, maybe, do something different with your lives.
I think I know a lot of people do take hiatuses from their podcast, and I think that's why we've kept going is because we haven't. Like, there's been times where, like we've said before, we pre-recorded, but then we jump right back into it and doing recording on a regular schedule.
And there are definitely days where it's harder to do this than other days. Like, there's some days where I'm like
today.
Fuck, I just want to do this. And then actually today is really easy for me because I was like, holy shit, I just started drinking at 4.
Yeah, you showed up here half cut, so it was all right.
And they're all like, what are you doing after the show? And I'm like, I'm going to record my podcast. But the fucking Oscars were on for 5 hours, and I'm fucking loaded. This is going to be great.
Yeah, because normally you get here around 8, and it was like getting to be 9 o'clock, and I was like, I wonder if the Oscars are still on because I hadn't heard from you or nothing. So I looked, and they were just running through the nominees of Best Picture, so I quickly shut that off because I didn't want to spoil that. But yeah, and then you texted me like 15 minutes later, I'm on my way.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, anyways.
I do want to say this about the whole show because there was one very important change, and this is not a spoiler in any way, shape, or form, but it was something that I thought was poignant and pointed and a very effective thing. For the first time since I have watched the Oscars, and I'm pretty sure the first time in 90 years, they announced the Best Actor category first.
Really?
And then announced the Best Actress category. And then announced Best Picture.
They've always done actress first.
Always, like, it's actress, actor, Best Picture.
Yeah.
And that has been the way since I was a child, and I'm sure it's been the format since time. Like, actresses are nice, actors are better, and now we will announce the Best Picture.
Yeah.
But today, they switched the format. And they announced Best Actor first, and then Best Actress, and then the Best Picture. And I think, and there was a lot of, like, they didn't have a lot of, I don't think it was an overtly political show. It really wasn't. It wasn't something where they were all standing up and being like, hey, we're going to just talk about this. There was definitely some political overtones to certain speeches, and Jimmy Kimmel did not hide the fact that he's like, Hollywood has been fucked up, and this Oscars is about changing that perspective.
Yeah.
He never hid that fact. He was very upfront about it, and yes, he made some jokes about it, and some of them fell flat, and some of them didn't. But it was, I think, a successful show. But I think what was more important was the way the show was delivered was, in fact, a political statement, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a heightened, and on the red carpet, there's always going to be like, who are you wearing, and why is that fucking important? Fuck you. But I think the thing is the Oscars is part fashion show.
Yeah.
Like, it really is. Like, people are like, I'm putting my dress on you for free, and I'm going to give you, like, hours of my work and my time and my attention to make sure you look amazing.
Just so you say my name.
So you will say who you are wearing.
Yeah.
Because that's my career on the line. I want to dress you, so you will say who you're wearing, because that's my shtick. So I don't think you can get away with that. You know what I would love to see? is a guy walk up to them and they go like, "Who are you wearing?" And they're like, "I'm wearing Bob."
Yeah.
Bob made my suit, because there were a lot of really bold fashion choices made by men this year, which actually was really excited. Velvet tuxes are a thing.
Really?
I don't know if you knew this, but they're
Well, yeah, they were in the 70s.
but now they're a thing again. There were
Oh,
a lot
great.
of
That
people
only took
wearing
40 years.
velvet tuxes
Fantastic.
tonight. But if that's what it's about, like, it's always been women being asked, "Who are you wearing?" And
Yeah.
men are like, "Well, I'm wearing a tux made by the three people that make suits," because
Yeah,
like,
it's a tux. Yeah,
it's a
what are you
tux.
going to do?
But there were some really bold fashion choices made by men, which I love to see, because at the same time, like, we're going to talk about who women are wearing and why women's fashion is important. Well, why is not men, like, as a man, that maybe maybe I'm not that guy, I don't know, but I like clothes. I like the way I look in clothes. I like putting clothes on me.
Yeah.
I like when a suit fits well. I like when a suit says something about me. I like that. So I wouldn't mind.
We're like total opposites in that regard.
Oh, well, I know that, but there's like, and I'm not saying that I'm gonna go out and spend ridiculous amounts of money on clothes, but at the same time, there's certain parts of me that are like, I would love. I walk and I. So today, I had to go shopping for a new coffee maker, which is a whole other story.
Yeah, we don't have that much time.
We don't have that much time, but I went for shopping.
That's
for
why
a
it
new,
took us 3 hours to start recording in the first place.
because of this coffee maker. But I went shopping for a new coffee maker. We bought a new coffee maker. But while we were like shopping for this, we did the tour of the store, so to speak. And,
As you do.
And we're walking through. And so like, we looked at the coffee makers, and then we walked into the fashion department. My wife looked at some clothes, and I looked at some clothes. And I walked into the men's department, and I literally looked around, and I almost there were 3 things I could have bought if I wanted to.
Yeah. The rest was all what, like tap-out shirts? And...
It literally is like, you will just wear jeans and these weird, horrible plaid things.
Yeah. Do you want to say the store you were in? No.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, really,
They're all the same, really,
It doesn't.
nowadays.
Like, it does. And this is the
Unless
thing.
you're in a specialty store. But
There are stores where you can go where there are like nicer clothes, and I know that, but we don't have any here. They're mostly, and it speaks volumes about the type of, and I'm going to say this, and I'm most probably going to get in trouble. It speaks volumes about the type of people that live in this community, because they're only stocking for those people.
yeah.
And the thing is that the small business owners that used to cater to people that cared, and I will say this, the people that cared,
Yeah.
if you care about your appearance and what you look like, you are not shopping at those stores. You are shopping elsewhere, and you no longer have the opportunity to shop there because those stores have now gone out of business for lack of clientele. So what does that say about the people that are here now?
Yeah.
Because you are either shopping away from here, or you are just, you just have given up. You've given up.
Maybe it's not a matter of giving up, though. Maybe it's a matter of never having started.
Maybe you didn't start.
Yeah.
Maybe you never cared. And I'm not talking like you have to be really fashionista.
Because, like, my dad is a logger. My dad's worked in the bush his whole life.
Yeah.
I honestly can only remember once my entire life my dad wearing a suit. Once. And that's even like at funerals, at weddings, like my graduation from college, all that kind of stuff. One time I remember my dad wearing a suit.
Yeah.
And that was when he married my stepmom.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's in the 40 years that I've known my dad.
One time.
One time.
One day.
Yeah. One day for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
because
And then he took his jacket off.
at one point I remember you know how like when you're at a wedding and you do the ceremony and then you do the pictures and then you go to the reception hall and then the bride and groom show up and they do all the speeches and all, and they're in their dress and the thing and everything. Well, it's not so much a tradition now, but when my parents got married, it was in the 80s because it was like early 80s, so let's say like 82. I don't know when they got married. I don't pay attention. Plus, I was like 7. But when it used to be a tradition where at some point the bride and groom would leave the party and they would go back to their hotel room or something, and they would get changed again. They would get out of their suit and out of their wedding dress, the bride dress or the wedding dress, and get into something, still nice, still fancy,
but comfortable,
more comfortable. And then they would come, and that's when they would start cutting a rug and let their hair down, so to speak.
It was a party time.
Yeah, exactly. It was after they'd already done their first dance and all of the pictures and the cutting of the cake and all that ceremonial horse shit.
Yeah.
And now it's like, let's get fucking drunk and screw. So at that point, and then I remember, so my dad, he probably wore his suit for I'm going to go out I'm going to say if it was 8 hours, that was stretching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And other than that, I don't ever remember him wearing a suit. My brother's wedding, he didn't wear a suit. Neither one of my brother's weddings, he didn't wear a suit. He wasn't at my wedding. So, yeah.
But nobody was at your wedding either.
No,
you gotta be.
We had 2 people at my wedding. It was my best friend and Mary's best friend and the girls, the 2 oldest girls.
Yeah.
And, a baby in the belly.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, we had an official and we had a photographer. So that worked out okay.
Yeah. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
You're somebody to say it's official and somebody fucking take pictures. They're like, yeah, I got married. See, there's a picture.
Yeah, exactly. It was done. My best friend was there. Her best friend was there. That was it.
Yeah.
And really, we probably wouldn't have done it without them, but we needed a signature. So I'm just kidding. We wouldn't have done it without them. Did you find at the Oscars, you said it was sort of political, like a political undertoning. Did anybody really get up and rail against the system in their speeches? I'm going to watch it after you leave.
I'm going to say this is that I really do
probably
believe it wasn't about railing against. There was one speech that was very politically motivated, but even in that tone, it wasn't a protest speech.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Nobody was about there being fuck the man. It was more like, we have a responsibility to do better, let's do better.
Yeah, we all have to work together and fix it. Blah, blah, blah.
It doesn't matter who you are, whether you're black or white, whether you're a man or you're a woman, whether you are marginalized in this industry or in the center of it. It doesn't matter where you fit. All of us have our place. And it's up to all of us to do better.
Yeah.
Which is where the onus sits. There's nobody it doesn't. I really do believe you can point fingers all you want. And we can all sit around and we can be like, you fuck the shit. It's your fault. Fuck you. You people that are, you were in charge. And you.
Well, I'm taking that a little personally.
You and your penis. You fucked us all. Most probably, the fact that I have a penis makes me a man, and I agree. Men most probably fucked you over if you're a woman. I am white, and I most probably agree that white people fucked you over if you are a minority.
Yeah.
I am straight, and I will most probably, I agree that we most probably, you have a shitty life if you are gay compared to what we have. But I will stand here as an ally and a person that says that you are entitled to everything I have as a man if you are a woman. You are entitled to everything that I can be as a person of color that I have as a white person.
Yeah.
And that you are entitled to all the rights that I possess as a person on a different sexual spectrum than I am as a straight person.
Yeah.
I believe in that, and I will fight for it. There are a lot of people that wouldn't necessarily be there, and I get that too.
Yeah.
But I really do hope, and I say this as a hope because I can't necessarily speak for, the climate we live in is different And I think a lot of people stand and they were like, oh, yeah, rights and shit. You know, like
rights and shit.
you know, because it's popular. But my hope is that somewhere along the line, because people have stood up, because people have made this a thing, we truly realize that there's no going back. We can't backpedal this one.
Yeah.
Right? Bad shit happened. It's out there. Horrible things have been done.
Yeah.
No, we can't take them back. We can't change the past. It's unchangeable. But as human beings, we can stand up and say, no more.
Yeah.
Not again. This needs to find a conclusion, and we need to find a better way to move forward. And honestly, we don't know what that better way is yet. I think that's the part that's missing. From my perspective, and only from my perspective, and I may be very wrong. I hope that there are people with great answers and that have solutions that come forward that work. But I really do see that we're striving for answers at this point. I don't think we have all the answers. I don't think we have the solutions yet. But I think we want to find them. I really do think we want to find them. And that takes time. We're going to try a bunch of things that aren't going to work. But as that guy that stands here, and in all my privilege, I can speak this because it's who I am, and I don't know a better way to say it. Because I don't have that adversity to work against. But as this person that sits here, I can say, as a man, as a white, straight guy, I hope and I wish that we had the solutions that lead to equality for every person of color, for every person of a sexuality other than mine, you know, for every woman on the face of the planet, that they don't have to put up with crap, that everybody should. I would love that everybody gets to sit in this seat, my seat, and look out at the world from this perspective, where they're not harassed because of who they are, because, hey, have I been harassed? Yes. As a human being, are you going to be harassed? Maybe. That's not going to go away.
Yeah, we all had certain teenage bullies in our lives.
That's not going to. You are always going to be nerdy, but I've never have to, honestly, I've never had to worry about somebody coming against me and wanting to rape me just because I wore some short shorts.
Yeah.
And I've never had to worry about being pulled over by a cop because I get to be white.
Yeah.
And I've never worried that the cop that pulls me over is just going to shoot me because I'm driving home a little fast.
Yeah.
You know? And I've never had to worry about holding hands with the person I love as I walk down the street. So these are things I get it. I understand. And I understand I also can't stand and be like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I hope we have solutions. And I think the pendulum is swinging the other way. And I understand that a lot of the next conversations are going to be uncomfortable for me as the straight white guy.
Yeah.
They're going to be uncomfortable. The pendulum is swung, and I want it to go as far as it can go, to the point where I actually want to cry about the fact that I am not a black, female, gay person. I want to be able to cry about that, because if I was, my life would be better.
Yeah. Because
when the pendulum swings to the point of non-issue, because that's where we all want to get. We all want to be the fact that the color of your skin doesn't matter. The shape of your genitalia doesn't matter. And who you sleep with doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because we're all just people. Because we can say that we can not see all that stuff, but it's still there. It still exists. And maybe you don't see it, which is ridiculous. We get to be different. We get to be that. But does it matter on the choices that people make about us? And that's the difference between prejudice and being different.
I think I will admit when I was younger, I said some things about certain groups of people due to ignorance. But now as I've gotten older and I've gotten to know more people in certain ethnic backgrounds and so on, like I used to tell Mexican jokes and I used to tell Chinese, Asian jokes and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not proud of it, but I did it. And like you said, you can't ignore the past. It happened, but I don't say that kind of stuff anymore. But now as I'm working and meeting more people like that, there's a lot of people who have the philosophy like, oh, just get over it. Black people shouldn't be harboring any ill feelings about slavery because that happened however many hundreds of years ago. They should just get over it. Just get over it. Just don't worry about it. Forget about it. Forget about it. You hear that a lot. Oh, just forget about it and move on with your life. Which is fine for them to say that from their position of whatever position they're in. It's easy for somebody like you and I to say to a First Nations person here, as an example, oh, well, just don't drink. Just stop hitting your kids. Yeah, we know you got hit, and we know your parents drank, and we know you've had a really shitty life, but just stop doing that. And life will be better. Life will be better, just stop drinking. It'll magically, as soon as you quit drinking the beer, or whatever it is, life will be better. But what they don't account for is what led them to that position.
Well, and I would argue, too, it doesn't matter where you live in your life or who you're like. There are certain things that are going to transcend every boundary.
Oh, yeah, and like I was using First Nations as an example.
Because I'm I would
because,
say...
like, as we know, addiction, mental health, all of that, it doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
That stuff it's affected me, it's affected you, it's affected our family members, our friends, people we work with, everybody we know, every single person that every single person knows somebody who's had addiction issues, mental health issues, stuff like that. So, like you say, it's like people can say, well, just get it, quit, get out of poverty, go and get an education.
Go get a job.
Yeah, go and get a job.
Why don't you get a job?
Well, having a job isn't necessarily going to be the solution either, because now you have money, and yeah, you're working and you're contributing to society, as they say, but now you have money and easier access to your vices.
Or just the fact that getting a job, I can be working 40 hours a week.
Yep.
We were just crunching some numbers before we started about what it would take to, make ends meet, do this, do that.
Yeah.
What if I did this and what if I did that? And we were crunching some numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a certain point where you can work a full-time job, and still not even make enough to make rent.
Yeah.
Not even, you're working 40 hours a week and not even make enough to make your rent.
Yep.
Let alone pay for your whatever else happens in your life. Your food. I don't know, some heat. Maybe, you got to have some internet or a phone or whatever else it is because that's your life. These are things that matter.
Yeah.
Right? And if that's a thing in your existence, what do you do?
Yeah.
So you can't just go get a job. You can't just stop drinking. You can't deal with addiction. Here's a better thing. What would be really better? Just sleep with women.
Yeah.
Dude, I know that you most probably like the D. But if you just didn't like the D, life would be easier for you.
Yeah.
Pretend.
Yeah.
Just pretend Not to like the D when you go to those like weird parties you go to.
Yeah. Did you lose part of your headphones too? Yeah. Okay.
Do what you got to like. Would life be easier? Well, of course.
Yeah.
You know what would be easier? There's this new technology where we can make you white.
Yeah.
Have you heard of skin bleaching? We can make you white.
Yeah.
Wouldn't life be easier for you if you looked more white?
I don't necessarily think so.
Well, or you know what? There's a new thing. We can give you a penis.
Yeah.
Wouldn't life be easier for you if you had a penis?
Well, I don't necessarily think that either. But yeah.
This is the kind of stuff. Can we do it? Can we make it happen? Of course we can.
Yeah.
Is it right? No. 51% of the world's population is women.
Yeah.
And yet we shit on them constantly.
Yeah.
Now, I hope, and I can only hope because there are days when I actually think I'm being a shitty dude. I've just realized I had a shitty dude moment. I wish I didn't, but I've just realized I had a shitty dude moment. My wife is looking at me and she's like, if I was a dude, you wouldn't have said that to me.
Yeah.
Why are you continuing? And I find myself more and more, I'm just trying to be quiet.
Yeah.
I find myself finding, do I need to talk? Yes, that was a question directed at me, but was that a question directed at me? Because my first instinct is to be like, I'm going to fix your problem. Let me tell you all about what your problem is and how to fix it.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't just necessarily apply to women. That applies to everybody in my life.
For you personally.
For me personally, I'm really like, you're going to be like, I have a problem. I'm like, let me tell you what you need to do.
Yeah.
And you can attest, it doesn't just apply to women.
No,
my
it's
kids,
every single person on the planet.
every person. They'll be like, I have a problem. I'm like, yes, I'm here.
Hallelujah. I'm
Come
here
to
save
me,
the
my
day.
children. Let me tell you of your woes and how I can help you.
I think I actually had a little discussion with my wife because she's been home for the last 10 days. She was on her spring reading break. Mm-hmm. So she's been home, and when she's home, we've had discussions on this numerous times, her and I, and when she's home, the kids treat her differently than they treat me. So, I'm here during the week, and we're hanging out doing our thing. And I'll get the occasional, hey, Dad, can I do this or can I do that or whatever. But they sort of, for the most part, leave me alone. We're in the same room together hanging out and doing stuff, or in the backyard or going for walks or whatever we're doing. But with her, excuse me, it's like, Mommy, watch this. Mommy, watch this. Come and watch this. Can you let's do this. Mommy. So the other day that was happening, and I could tell that there was a vein that was popping out of her forehead a little bit, and she was getting a little bit stressed out about it. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to help her. I'm going to solve this problem, just like you just said. So at one point, one of the kids, I don't remember which one, but one of them come up and they say, oh, can you answer this question? So I was like, oh, here's my opportunity. I know the answer to that question. Blah, 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 blah. And Mary's basically looking at me and after the kids walked away, and she's like, can you stop doing that? And I was like, what? And she's like, you don't let me talk. When they ask me stuff, you just start giving the answer, even though I was just literally about to give the exact same answer you did.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're right, I did do that. I was trying to help you because I could see you were getting frustrated. She said, I know I'm getting frustrated, but I also want to be involved. I want to be the person to answer these questions. So I reached the point where I was like, you know what? I have to stop.
Yeah.
And I don't do that with other people. I'm not like you. I don't need to solve everybody else's problems when they bring them to me. Everybody's like, oh, we need drama-free lives, and fucking start at home.
Stop talking about the drama.
Stop talking about other people. Stop talking about what other, if you want drama, watch fucking Days of Our Lives.
Talk about them.
Yeah, talk about Nikki Newman and what fucking Victor's doing to people. Like, you and I did half of an episode on Victor Newman one day. Like, we can...
You could talk about that shit for, like, hours.
There's an entire, as we talked about for the first half of it, there's an entire business industry out there built about creating fake drama.
Yeah.
Okay?
You don't need to create any of your own.
Yeah, go watch a fucking movie. Okay? You don't need to have your drama and create your own. Just go and watch fucking Black Panther.
Well, but I think that, like, and I will say this, when I talk about, like, fixing other people's drama, like, I would hope, and this is the thing, is I don't want to ever insert myself into drama that I'm not wanted in.
Yeah.
But when people come to me and they're like, and there's a however many people in the world, whether it's professionally, and they're like, hey, I need help with this thing.
Yeah.
That I'm working on, and do you have ideas, and can you help me? Yes, I have ideas, because that's what I do. I'm an idea guy.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I'm going to accomplish the ideas.
Yeah, I have the same
but
problem.
I have ideas.
I have like 1,100 notes in my phone of all these little story ideas and not a single story written.
But when I go, but I do go like, I'm like, I will help you create I'll create the plan. Just don't ask me to carry it out.
Yeah.
Like, I will take you, logistically from point A to point Z on paper. But don't ask me to be like, so would you like to, like, do those things? I'm like, no, I don't want to do those things.
Yeah.
I give you the plan so I don't have to do those things.
Look, I work really well with paper and pen, okay? Yeah. Not so much with actual physical work.
If you run into roadblocks, you come and see me, and then I'll help you get around them. But I don't want to do that shit.
Yeah.
Like, what do I care about fucking how to get lemons from here to lemonade? I don't care about that.
You would make a great executive producer versus a actual producer.
Well, I like doing things, but only the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
That's the point of being me.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want to have to, so if you come to me for an idea, whether, no matter what it happens to be about, I will try and help you to the best of my ability. But I only know so much, and I'm only passionate about so many things.
Yeah.
And I only have so many hours in the day that I want to dedicate to shit.
Yeah. Especially other people's shit.
Yeah. So, I will help you, but that's my help.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing it's not me getting Bob doesn't love me. Well, if Bob doesn't love me, you better fucking move on. That's relationship advice is not one of the things. I should just say that when people come to me with their problems, they really don't come to me with personal problems.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty cut and dry about that shit.
Yeah. Well, Sean and I have been having a rough emotional time connecting lately. Just fucking get rid of him.
Yeah. Fucking move on.
Yeah. Fuck that guy.
You either want to move on or you don't. A or B. There's no C to me.
Look, I told you years ago that every Sean's a dirtbag. So
A or B.
Yeah.
Move on or don't. What do you want to do? I don't want to move on. Well, then fucking fix it. It's really easy. Go talk to him and be like, you know what? I just wish you'd fuck me in the ass once in a while, and it most probably will happen. Or
where the fuck did that come from?
B, stop fucking me in the ass. It's kind of an A or B situation.
Okay, you gotta bring down the ass talk because my kids are sleeping, man. I'm all for it, but you can say whatever you want. But we're inside my living room. My kids' bedrooms are on either side.
I'm getting a little loud with fucking me in the ass. Okay, so I apologize, but
anyways, we should actually get out of here.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
are we that long
we're at
already?
time. Yeah.
Okay, we're done then. We're gonna end on ass fucking.
Yeah, well, wouldn't be the first time, or the last.
No.
For Small Town Breakdown, I'm Brandon Grad.
I'm Million Drew.
Thanks for listening to us talk shit about shit.
I grew up in a real small town. Main streets, there was no one around. Skipping school, smoking pot in the sun. Remember days when we were young. I grew up, got a beautiful wife. I brought a son into...
This has been a Lunchbox fabrication.